Hi everyone, it's Graham again and welcome back to my channel. So today I am here with part 3 of my March book haul. I'm going to call this book haul the Agatha Christie haul because everything is Agatha Christie. I have 10 books to show you, but 12 items altogether because 2 of the items are sort of non-bookish but at the same time kind of fit in with the whole Agatha Christie vibe. So yeah, it's a long one. It might be a bit of a bumpy ride, so I would suggest getting yourself a cup of tea. So yeah, pause here and go get a cup of tea. But without much further ado, let's get into the book haul. So the first 2 things that I'm going to show you are the non kind of bookish but bookish things. Okay, so I was on eBay and I was searching for vintage editions of Agatha Christie books, and in particular the Orient Express, the Murder on the Orient Express, and I just typed in Orient Express and then the suggestion came up with like memorabilia and stuff, and I thought, ooh, you can buy stuff that's been on the train. So yeah, you can, but it's very expensive. So when I saw this for quite a reasonable price, I snapped it up because I thought that would look amazing either framed or on my bookshelves. It now sits on my bookshelves, my Agatha Christie shelf, and it looks phenomenal. It's a Murder on the Orient Express menu from like, I think it's the 70s or 80s. So it kind of feeds into that whole Agatha Christie vibe. I just love it. It's so cute. It's missing one of its menu pages, but it has one here. And for a meal on the Orient Express, you could have celery soup with Stilton cream, yum, baked salmon with a fennel sauce, I'll leave that to the meat eaters, a selection of fresh market vegetables and new potatoes, and then for pudding you could have fresh fruit heart puff with fruit sauce, and then the coffee was a Colombian coffee, and it just, I love it so much, and it looks fantastic on my bookshelf. Yeah, so that's the first non-bookish item, and yeah, it's just fab, and I'm crazy for buying a menu from a train. The next thing is a notebook, and it is the Agatha Christie, the Poirot collection, and it's more like a sketch pad, I would say, because it's not lined, it's just like blank pages, but I thought I could use this for keeping a tally of all the Agatha Christie books that I have, all the ones that I have read, the ones that I've still to read, and the reviews that I write for those books. And I thought that was quite a nice thing. It's an Agatha Christie themed notebook for my Agatha Christie books, and I love it. The back looks like that. It has the Agatha Christie seal on the back, I would imagine, and I do apologise for my ring light there, but yeah, I love this. It's just cool, and this was really quite reasonable online as well. I don't think they make this anymore. This was from like 2005, and I didn't even know that these were made, these ever existed. So yeah, happy find. So now we are on to the books. So the first book is a first edition, which I'm so happy to have. I have the facsimile of this. I got it a few years ago when I think it was Hachette were doing like a partwork collector's series of the facsimile editions. But yeah, when I saw this online on eBay, it wasn't expensive, so I snapped it up. It's Sleeping Murder. I'm not going to say it's by Agatha Christie because all these books are. And this is Miss Marple's last case, and it's just amazing, and I cannot wait to get to this because I haven't read this one yet. And I think that this is Miss Marple's last case. I just said that, yeah. Sometimes I wonder about myself, sometimes I really do. But yeah, that's Sleeping Murder. The next one, the title of this, the font of this makes me think of the font used in the EastEnders. See what I mean? It looks like the EastEnders font. It's Endless Night, and this edition is a first edition, and it's just amazing. I absolutely love it. And I've just realised that I haven't read to you what Sleeping Murder was all about. So yeah, I'm failing in my duties as a bookish person. A vintage Christie, written like curtain some 30 years ago, and alas, her last. Pretty Gwenda Reed, 21 and newly married, had come to New Zealand to search for a home in England for herself and her husband Giles. She settled on a small south coast town, Dilmouth, and almost immediately fell in love with a delightful house where she at once felt strangely at home. But it was something more than a comfortable feeling of familiarity. Gwenda felt she actually remembered the house. And then on a visit to friends in London, a theatre party and a line from Webster's Duchess of Malfi brought back to her the terrifying vision of a woman's body lying in the hall. It also brought another member of the theatre party into the picture, Miss Marple. And at that point, Giles Reed arrived. "I don't know whether you realise it, Miss Marple," said Giles, "but what it amounts to is that we've got a first-class murder mystery on our hands. Actually, on our very doorstep, or more accurately, in our front hall." "I had thought of that, yes," said Miss Marple, slowly. "And Giles simply loves detective stories." "And Giles simply loves detective stories," said Gwenda. And it's continued on back flap. "Well, I mean, it is a detective story. Body in the hall of a beautiful, strangled woman. Nothing known of her but her Christian name. Of course, I know it's nearly 20 years ago. There can't be any clues after all this time. But one can at least cast about and try to pick up some of the threads. Oh, I dare say one won't succeed in solving the riddle." "I think you might," said Miss Marple. "Even after 18 years. Yes, I think you might." I love it. That kind of makes me think of the Five Little Pigs that Poirot solves, and that's like a cold case from 16 years before. So I'm so excited to get to this one. It sounds so exciting. But so back to the one that I was chatting about, which was Endless Night. I shall read you the inside of this. The site of the house, called the Towers, had once been known as Gypsys Acre. When it was sold, Michael Rogers went to the auction, though he hadn't any money. His dream was of a new house on the old site, to be built by his brilliant young architect friend. It was at Gypsys Acre that Michael first saw the girl he was to marry. The account of Michael's courting of Ellie, their growing attraction for each other, is the starting point of the drama that begins and ends at Gypsys Acre. The story ends in the revelation of a monstrous crime, complete with all the paraphernalia that had been required to effect it. A new novel by Agatha Christie is always a momentous event in the calendar of crime novel publishing. In this doom-laden story, different in kind from the experiences of Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple, all the author's great gifts of subtlety and interpretation are on full display. Here, from the master of crime storytelling, is something new and different, something extraordinarily exciting. I haven't read this one either, so I'm so excited to get to it. Oh, can't wait. So the next one is The 13 Problems, and this is a Miss Marple. I do believe that this is a collection of short stories. Yes, it is, I think. Yes. Let's have a little read. The appearance of Miss Marple in The Murder at the Vicarage provided detective fiction with a new and distinctive character. Miss Marple, that delightfully clever village spinster who solves the most amazing mysteries quietly and unobtrusively from her chair by the fireside, appears in each of the stories comprising the 13 Problems. Each story is a little masterpiece of detection, clever and ingenious, with just that added twist that only Agatha Christie can give. And yeah, I can't wait to get to this one either, because I haven't read this. I think I may have read a couple of the stories in this, but I might be wrong. I do have a vague memory of having a paperback copy of this a few years ago, but I can't remember fully. Yeah. I know that I definitely haven't read the next one, which is at Bertram's Hotel. This is another Miss Marple, and I've seen the television adaptation of this, and I loved it. It had Martine McCutcheon in it, well, the one that I saw anyway. And then when I opened this book, the inside, there was something that had been used as a bookmark, and it is... it's got Julie Andrews on the front, and it's from Victor Victoria. Julie Andrews in Broadway's musical comedy hit. And this is like, I mean, Julie Andrews is like about 90 now. So she's clearly not that age then. So this is a proper vintage piece of Broadway musical history. And it's inside my book, and I'm so excited about it. But yeah, that will stay right where it is. If you turn off an unpretentious street from the park and continue a little way down a quiet street, you will find Bertram's Hotel on the right-hand side. Bertram's Hotel has been there a long time, dignified, unostentatious, and quietly expensive. It has been patronised by the higher echelons of the clergy, dowager ladies of the aristocracy up from the country, girls on their way home from the holidays from expensive finishing schools. Bertram's, in fact, is the very height of respectability. Is it a little too good to be true? That is what Miss Jane Marple soon begins to wonder. Miss Marple, as is well known, always suspects the worst, and she claims she is usually right. It is Miss Marple's destiny to stumble across violence and mystery. Her brief London holiday at Bertram's Hotel soon presents her with a most complex and baffling puzzle. In the pleasure she gives to readers of all ages, in the lustre of popularity she has given to the crime novel in our time, Agatha Christie stands alone. Here, as skillful, tricky, and compulsively readable as ever, is the latest full-length novel from the most outstanding crime novelist of all. Yes, absolutely. One I haven't read, and one I need to get to very soon, and one that I'm so happy to have a facsimile edition of in my collection. The next one is another facsimile. I have this in paperback, but when I saw it in the facsimile, I had to have it. I just absolutely love it. It's Poirot Investigates, and I mean, look at the picture of Poirot and tell me that that isn't the David Suchet character. I mean, it totally is. I think it's outstanding. Just brilliant. There isn't really a... oh, no, there is. Join the celebrated Belgian detective as he solves some of his most famous cases in this enchanting selection of short stories, including The Mystery of Hunter's Lodge, The $1 Million Bond Robbery, and the jewel robbery at the Grand Metropolitan. Absolutely cannot wait to get to this. And yeah, it's just fab. I mean, look at it. Oh, it's great. So the next one is a first edition, and this was a very, very lucky find on eBay, because the cheapest that I had seen this up until this point, it was like 60 or 70 quid, and I thought, I can't justify that. It's a lot of money. But then I saw this one, and it was 14 something pounds, but I had to have it because it's in such good condition, and it's from 1961, and you just don't find them in this kind of condition. Even the expensive ones are really badly damaged. The Pale Horse, and it's just amazing. It's the Crime Club edition as well, from 1961. I haven't read this one, so this is one that's going to be added to the Agatha Christie TBR. But let me read you the inside. As the priest ended his ministry, the dying woman spoke again. Stopped. It must be stopped. You will... The priest spoke with reassuring authority. I will do what is necessary. You can trust me. A doctor and an ambulance arrived simultaneously a little later. Mrs. Coppins received them with gloomy triumph. Too late as usual, she said. Father Gorman did his best, but on the way home he was killed. On his body was discovered a list of names, mysterious in that the people listed had nothing in common. Yet when Mark Easterbrook came to inquire into the circumstances of the people named, he began to decry a connection between them and an ominous pattern. Agatha Christie's Agatha Christie's readers are legion, and they await each new novel of hers with high expectations. No one is going to be disappointed by The Pale Horse, a crime story not one jot less convincing, ingenious, exciting, and sinister than the best of its predecessors, which have made Mrs. Christie famous. Yeah, so looking forward to this one as well, because I've not read it and I need to. So the next one is one that I haven't read again, but I have seen the TV adaptation of. It's a Miss Marple. This is a first edition, Crime Club edition, and yeah, I'm so happy to have this. It's gorgeous. The mirror cracked from side to side. I mean, how sort of 1960s does that look? It's just fabulous. This is a Miss Marple. What is it that Marina Gregg, the famous film actress, just saw before a murder was committed in her house? What or who caused her expression to change so violently that one observer was reminded of Alfred Tennyson? Out flew the web and floated wide, the mirror cracked from side to side. The curse is come upon me, cried the Lady of Shalott. A few minutes later, a body lay dead in Marina's large house. The second time a victim of wilful murder had been discovered there. Yet again, Agatha Christie demonstrates that in the field of the crime novel, her achievement is unique and distinguished. Just get in here now. Just love it. So the next one is another first edition, and it is 450 from Paddington. How glorious is that front cover? I mean, it's everything. I love it so much. This is a Miss Marple, and I will read you the inside. Having done her Christmas shopping, Mrs. McGillicuddy relaxes happily in a train. Then another train, going in the same direction, draws abreast, and for some minutes the two trains proceed side by side. That has happened to all of us, but in a first-class carriage of the second train, Mrs. McGillicuddy sees, to her horror, a man strangling a woman. Then the second train gathers speed and vanishes into the night. Who was the woman? Who was the man who strangled her? And why is the body not found for so long? As Mrs. McGillicuddy is going to stay with her old friend, Miss Marple, you may be sure that these questions all get answered in the end. Once again, Agatha Christie demonstrates the ingenuity and mastery which have made her the most famous of crime writers. Once again, she presents a story that will grip every reader from its exciting and unusual opening to the convincing solution at the end. Oh, God, can't wait to read this. So the second last one is a Poirot, and it's Lord Edgware Dies. And on the back of this is, I think, the actor Charles Laughton, who I think was the very first man to ever play Poirot. And yeah, absolutely, he is Poirot. It's just fab. But this is yet another one that I have not read. Supper at the Savoy. Hercule Poirot, the famous little detective, was enjoying a pleasant little supper party there as the guest of Lady Edgware, formerly Jane Wilkinson, a beautiful young American actress. During the conversation, Lady Edgware speaks of the desirability of getting rid of her husband, Lord Edgware, since he refuses to divorce her, and she wants to marry the Duke of Merton. Monsieur Poirot jocularly replies that getting rid of husbands is not his speciality. Within 24 hours, however, Lord Edgware dies. This amazing story once more reveals Agatha Christie as the perfect teller of detective stories. It will be difficult indeed to lay down the book until one learns the true solution of the mystery. Yes, can't wait. That just sounds so quintessentially Agatha Christie, and yeah, I'm so excited. So this next book is the last one, and it's a chunker. It's actually bigger than my head, and and it's Agatha Christie's plays. So it's the Mousetrap and Other Plays. And this is an ex-library copy, so it does have one of these plastic covers on it. So I do apologise that my ring light is reflecting on it, but it looks like that. And on the back we have a picture of Agatha Christie herself. And some of the plays in here, And Then There Were None, Appointment with Death, The Hollow, The Mousetrap, Witness for the Prosecution, Towards Zero, Verdict, and Go Back for Murder. I can't wait to get to these plays. I've read a couple of Agatha Christie's plays in the past, or is it just one? I can't remember. I've definitely read at least one. I've read Akhenaten, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. These 8 gripping plays by the undisputed queen of crime, here published for the first time in book form, provide yet more evidence of her mastery, of the detective thriller. Agatha Christie's talents as a playwright are equal to her skills as a novelist, and reading her plays with their ingenious plots and colourful cast of characters is equally enjoyable. The Mousetrap has made history by becoming the longest running play ever. Other highlights of this collection include 2 Christie classics. Witness for the Prosecution had a long stage run in both London and New York, where it won the New York Drama Critics Circle Award for Best Foreign Play, an unprecedented honour for a thriller. It was made into a highly successful film directed by Billy Wilder and starring Charles Laughton, Marlena Dietrich, I was going to say Darlene Matrix, Marlena Dietrich and Tyrone Power. It's a phenomenal film, and if you haven't seen it, Witness for the Prosecution, Marlena Dietrich, it is astonishingly good. The film was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, And Then There Were None was another huge theatrical success and was made into a superb film by Renée Clair. I have not seen that. I may have to check it out. Agatha Christie dramatised many of her own stories and frequently devised new twists of plot and character to surprise and enthrall her audience. Of the 5 remaining plays, 3 were adapted by Agatha Christie herself. The Hollow, Appointment with Death, and Go Back for Murder. Verdict is an original play of which the author said, "I still think it is the best play I have written, with the exception of Witness for the Prosecution." I love anything Agatha Christie, and a play, I don't know, there's something about a play that, a novel doesn't quite match, if that makes sense. Because with a play, you can really imagine the characters as you want to, whereas in a novel, they're kind of mostly described to you, so you have a basis for how they look and how they carry themselves. But whereas a play, you can build that into the character yourself, and I just love that. So yeah, I'm so excited about these Agatha Christie books. I can't begin to tell you. I feel like a little schoolboy on Christmas morning. I'm so excited. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching this epic long video. I hope you've enjoyed the books that I've been showing to you. I'm definitely excited about them. But yeah, for now, I shall let you go and get on with your day. So yeah, whatever you're doing, I hope you have so much fun doing it. Whatever you're reading, I hope you love it. Stay fabulous, be amazing, be yourself, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon for another video. Bye-bye.